Today we're embarking on another adventure in a different side of Kent. This is where the poorest in the county come to live, Margate, and the Thanet district is considered the poorest area in Kent and has some crime statistics to match. Recently it was declared that there were around 127 crimes per 1,000 residents in this depressing town, which is much higher than the county average of 88 per 1,000 residents. But why is that the case? Join me today as we shine a light on Margate, the poorest town in Kent. Welcome to Margate, the town that records a new violent or sexual crime every 6 hours. Margate is nestled along the picturesque coast of Kent and is renowned for being one of the first seaside towns in the whole of the UK, and it has a rich history, but it's a very poor outlook at the moment. With a population of approximately 63,500, it sounds like a good sized town. However, with an increase of just 0.5% annually, the population is growing much slower than the rest of Kent and also the rest of the country. Most residents in this part of the world are aged between 50 and 59, which is common for most seaside towns in Kent. Margate has had a checkered past after being named the British Ibiza, Shoreditch on the Sea, and Camden of the South East, suggesting it welcomes the more creative visitors. During the summer, Margate plays host to one of the hottest parties in the South East called Margate Pride, where rainbow flags fly proudly. But there is a more sinister side to Margate, as it's known to be a town of polyamory, and for the uneducated few like myself, that means to having romantic relationships with more than one person at a time. The residents don't class this as a cheating because it's a consensual and all out in the open, literally and figuratively, and as it suggests, it often has blurring the lines of sexuality. Now, I'm no Sherlock Holmes, but if this town has one of the highest violence and sexual crime rates in the county, and they say they're open to relationships which are consensual, you would think perhaps that sexual offences should be lower. Maybe these types of relationships are not consensual after all. I did witness an altercation in town. Two blokes were arguing quite loudly. I couldn't work out exactly what it was about, but both looked very drunk and drugged up, so probably hallucinating over something not important. All three in this group were wearing tags. I think the argument had been going on for a couple of minutes before I witnessed it, but they did calm down as soon as I started filming them, so I scuttled off quickly in case I was next in line to be shouted at. As a result of this risky place called Margate, it's seeing a bit of a resurgence in the housing market, increasing the average price from $245,000 5 years ago to now $317,000. That's still below the average of the county. So while this town is still considered a very poor town and the poorest town in the county, the tide is changing, with people mainly from London choosing to move here, creating a class divide. Poorer people that have lived here for many years are mixing with more affluent people and creating a very mixed community. But there is a traditional seaside town experience here in Margate with the famous Dreamland amusement park, the surprisingly clean sandy beaches. There's also a contemporary art gallery, and Margate's old town, which is showcasing its well-preserved historic architecture, is not one to miss. There is a charm to these independent shops, narrow streets, and as you would expect, there's an eclectic mix of vintage and modern influences. If you do visit Margate though, you must go and visit and descend into the mysterious Shell Grotto, which is an underground marvel adorned with intricate shell mosaics. Nearby Cliftonville is meant to be the nicer part of town and more up and coming. However, when I briefly visited here, I could only see rows and rows of houses. Nothing really interesting to see, and the only thing I could say is it had less graffiti. I wouldn't say it was loads better than the main town of Margate. There are a lot of family run businesses in Margate, which is good to see, and there wasn't many boarded up shops as I was expecting considering the poverty that exists in this town. I was a bit distracted by the altercation in town, so I forgot to look out for the two large sinkholes that have appeared near Church Street. This is worrying for residents as there's no timescales on resolutions. Sinkholes are becoming more common up and down the country as the harsher winter takes its toll on water pipes and causing more pipes to burst. Hopefully the Margate residents have this resolved quickly. So that was Margate, the capital of the UK for having more than one relationship. It's hard to tell. It's certainly one location in Kent that's having a resurgence due to the residents that are attracted to this type of lifestyle. Whatever you choose to call it and whatever experience you might be looking for, it's clear that Margate, this poverty-stricken seaside town, is swinging. I'll see you next Sunday, and until then, bye for now.